So my name's Kevin, and I'm the head of admissions for the University of Oxford Summer Schools for 15 to 18-year-olds. And today's presenters will be myself and Carrie, who's an Associate Fellow, and I'll introduce her later into the schedule. So I'll begin by introducing you guys to the University of Oxford and the Side Business School. We'll talk about the school information, the formats, what programs we've got in the summer, and then Carrie will do her taster lecture, which we're looking forward to. Then I'll talk a little bit about the experience, student experience and impact, the fees and attendance criteria, and then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for any questions. So pop them into the chat and we'll get to you at the end. So we'll kick off just by having a listen to some of our students from last year and how their experience was.
I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. The air just feels different. The grass just looks different.
When I saw, first off, Oxford and then future entrepreneurs, I was like, oh God, I have to sign up for this.
I was so scared. I was not going to make friends. I have people who I've met who I don't think I'm ever going to forget.
The lectures, it's much more interactive than I thought. They're so nice to you and there's conversation and you're learning and you're talking.
The lectures were very diverse. They were around geology, geothermal,
AI, computer science, geopolitics,
arithmetic and computation. All that lovely, interesting stuff.
The first lectures I've had with them have been mind-blowing.
I absolutely love it.
They've been able to get an idea of the academic rigor in Oxford and the ability to tackle new issues.
I see our world from a different perspective.
I've not had any other lecturers like this before, ever.
These summer programs are designed to immerse students in a particular topic.
It's really inspirational to see people coming together, combining their ideas, and working on a project that seemed impossible to me before coming here.
There are people from everywhere. Abu Dhabi, America.
From Ukraine, Russia, Germany, Brazil.
The amount of diversity is incredible. I'm making so many new connections with people from completely different areas, learning about their culture.
Every day it's so interesting, so interactive. We always have events going on.
The graduation was amazing because it really felt like we've graduated from Oxford.
We were actually doing the punting. That was pretty cool.
A real highlight for me was the Much Ado About Nothing play. I thought it was so funny.
I'm really sad to be leaving. I'm gonna miss the people, I'm gonna miss my friends, but it was life-changing. I'm gonna carry that with me for my whole life. It was incredible.
Wow, amazing. Great to hear from those guys that had a fantastic experience last year. So we'll just talk a little bit about the University of Oxford. So, as you guys probably know, we are the #1 ranked university in the world and have been for the last 9 years in a row. So we're all very proud of that. And that ranking is based on 900 years of history. And the idea is that when you guys come on this program for those 2 weeks, you'll be a University of Oxford student and you'll become part of that rich history. One of the other great things about the University of Oxford is the internationalism. We have students from all over the world and 60 odd thousand students from the international community, and that's reflected as well in the summer programs. And you can see there some of the countries where our students came from last year, and there are some other countries there too. So when you're on the summer program, you'll be, of course, making friends with students and other from all around the world. But importantly, you'll be sharing your unique perspective from your culture as well. And that's really going to help you guys become sort of global citizens and have that global perspective, which you're going to need in your future careers. And the Said Business School is the business school of Oxford University. And the programs on the summer school are run mostly out of the business school, and along with some other departments, for example, Department of Economics, who we've partnered with on one of the programs. And you'll benefit from all of the wisdom and expertise within that school. Really importantly is that the mission of side business school is to transform students, which in this case will be you guys in the summer, who will then, in their future careers, transform businesses that can transform the world. So by coming on this program, you'll start that journey and you can actually have an impact in the world, a positive impact in the world through business in the future. So as you guys probably know, the University of Oxford doesn't have a kind of a centralized campus because we have the collegiate system. So with 45 colleges and halls across the city. And what that means is, in fact, is that the city of Oxford and the University of Oxford are completely intertwined. And so while you're on the summer program, for you, the city of Oxford is your classroom, and you'll have a completely immersive experience as an Oxford University student, which is amazing. So let's have a quick look at the program portfolio and the format. So the programs offer both super and extracurricular aspects. So the supercurricular is that deep dive into the subjects that goes way beyond what you would do at school. And then with the extracurricular wraparound program with activities, socializing, boosting your self-esteem, cultural competencies, and workshops. And so together, those aspects will really support your university applications in the future, particularly the supercurricular aspect, because the Oxford University, as well as other top universities in the world, really focus on the supercurricular evidence on your applications. So who will you guys meet while you're on the program? So, of course, the program is led by our world-leading academics, top researchers, industry experts, and that they will give you your input. But you'll also meet these guys that you can see down the bottom here. Those are your student ambassadors and welfare teams, and they're there to look after you in your accommodation, on your trips and excursions, and in the classrooms too, to support you in the classroom. And these guys are all they are all Oxford University undergrad and postgrad students, current students. So they're bringing their experience as a University of Oxford student and sharing that with you. So you get their insight in application, in life at a competitive university like Oxford. And that's going to help you get ahead in your applications in the future. So we've got 5 summer schools that we offer for 2026. We've got 2 what we call multidisciplinary options. And so these offer really wide subjects, a really wide breadth of subjects, so that you can try lots of different things under in the context of tech and innovation or leadership. And so you can really, it's going to help you find your passion. Like, what's the thing that you really want to do? And this is a great way to find that out. If you already know what you want, if you've really got a focus already, then one of the deep dive programs might be the right thing for you. So we've got climate tech, innovators, entrepreneurship, and the AI and machine learning programs. And these offer that real deep dive into the subject knowledge. This is where the supercurricular aspect really comes into play. And we're looking at those subjects from every angle. So you get a very deep understanding of the issues around those subjects, and that really burnishes your application in the future. So I'm being chased around the room by the sunlight that's coming in through the window. So let's have a quick look at the multidisciplinary programs. So we've got the tech and innovation, and you can see there the topics that are covered. So really wide subject base, and then you can try all these really things like fintech and blockchain and biotechnology and other things that I don't understand, but you will in the future. And then the team leadership, again, lots of different topics, leadership fundamentals and social neuroscience. Really fascinating stuff. And there you can see the typical timetable on the program. So it's it's an action-packed day from 7 till 11, and in the after so in the daytime it's lectures and input, all this amazing stuff, and then in the afternoons, and evenings, activities, games, fun stuff, time to decompress, hang out with friends, and really establish those strong friendships that are going to carry you forward in the future. So let's listen to some of the guys that were on the multidisciplinary academy programs last year.
I think it's been absolutely amazing. I mean, this is my first summer program I've ever done, and my dream is to come to Oxford. Like, it's been absolutely incredible. I mean, I can't ask for better staff, better accommodation. Like, nothing is like below par. Everything is incredible.
Different parts, different levels, for example.
And we learn like so many different things such as entrepreneurship, innovation, sustainability, right now even AI. So it's like a vast range of topics.
Like, it's really good to work with the team and work with everyone. We worked for like a solid 2 days doing this, so it's good to see it come off and like come off really well at the end.
I really never knew what behavioral economics was until I came here. And now I know so many things about economics, and I'm just like, my mind's just like in different places right now.
Where these applauses going? Come on.
The fantastic thing here is like, okay, these guys are going to be moving into their university studies soon. Some of the biggest global challenges that we've faced in centuries are going to be managed by these people.
Everybody did his work and was so interested in the topic that I could improve myself and improve the idea, and that was just great.
It could be something that coming here, you get to develop that passion and you get to sort of develop that level of insight.
Every part was like interesting and it had like something in it, and I enjoyed everything. But probably like most fascinating, it was like a balloon painting. It was something I tried first time in my life. It was really interesting, yeah.
You know, egg them on, if you will, but always be respectful. Sound good?
So when I got up on stage and I got to debate other people, it wasn't just to win an argument, it was for me to get to know how the other person thinks, right? And one of my favorite things about debates is honestly the rebuttal.
I enjoyed the debate so much because I heard people speak who I've never heard speak before, like stood up on the microphone, said their point, delivered it, and we were able to have such like interesting conversations, and such interesting point of views were brought up, things I never even thought about.
Thank you. Welcome to the graduation of the first Oxford St. Teen Summer Academy.
This program has delivered lifelong friendships.
The experiences and memories we made is something that's irreplaceable for all of us.
It is an experience of a lifetime, and it's like unforgettable memories that you're making throughout.
I'm definitely going to take every piece of advice with me.
I think this experience is definitely one of the most best things I've decided to do in my life. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll have a quick look at the specialist academic programs. So all of the programs have very clear learning outcomes, which make sure the students, you guys in this case, are not just developing the subject knowledge, but the skills that you need to apply the theory. That's really important, because there's no point having the knowledge if you don't have the skills to apply it. And then, of course, lots of preparation for your advanced studies and careers. on all of the programs, on all of the programs, and this is the first week is about input. That's the important thing on the first week. So lectures, workshops, all those great professors, industry leaders, giving you and helping you develop the insight of the knowledge. And then the second week is about the application, and this is where you will do your special project in your small group, and you will develop a business proposal and pitch that at the end in a competition against all your the other guys on the program to those industry leaders, and they will pick a winner, and they'll also importantly give you lots and lots and lots of insight and feedback on your proposal. So that's a really important part of that. And the programs we talked about were all part of the Future Climate Tech Innovators Summer School. And so now I'd like to introduce you to Carrie Lomas, who will do our taste lecture on climate innovation. Thanks, Carrie.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. Hopefully you can see me. We've had a bit of a technical challenge here. We had a power cut this morning, so my Mac is still rebooting. But what I'm going to do is, whilst that's happening, I've dialed in on my phone so that I can still talk with you. What I want to do is first of all explain who I am, and then the kind of thing that we do, and then take you through something. What I'd like you to do is grab a pen and paper. So it's something I want you to actually experience what we do in the summer school itself, and think about how we actually do things with the students. So my background is I spent 27 years at Intel and IBM. I was a partner at IBM running an AI delivery team where we designed and delivered products directly to clients. And at Intel over 24 years, because I spent the majority of my career there, I did everything from sales to supply chain. And I focused on either algorithms for supply chain, which was a large part of my career, about 6 years, or I ran a very large sales organization of $400 million for anything that wasn't a PC. So we had engineers that would help design products like MRI scanners, or it could be retail point of sale information, or it could be a magic mirror so you could see yourself reflected. Before I left IBM, the last couple of years, have innovation labs with lots of sensors, and people could come and effectively play with technology in a space where what we were focusing on was innovation. So a lot of what we do today at Oxford, so I'm an Associate Fellow at Oxford. I did my postgrad at Oxford in 2013 and 14, and that was sponsored by Intel. In lockdown, I did an executive MBA as well, so I'm, fairly well qualified. And how to help our younger generation, and actually I do lots of executive work as well, but considering how they may innovate. So I'm just going to ask a question of who has got their pen and paper to hand, because if not, can you just go and grab one for me, because I want you to actually consider something. And I live in the countryside in a tiny village of 220 houses, and we had a power cut during the week as well, so it's not too unusual, but we thought we were okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. So I want you to imagine a problem that you see in your own country. So wherever you in the world. And I want you to write down who that person is and what that problem is that you think you can think about, just in a couple of words. And then I'm going to ask somebody to share that back with me. And I think my machine's booting at the same time, so we could get somewhere. with this. So who's the person that has the problem? It doesn't have to be somebody's name, but it can be, you know, Jane or Tanya, Chad. You don't have to be, we're not giving away any secrets here.
Great, I can see one in the Q&A. So we've got Melissa, and the problem they're facing, or they think their community is facing, is opportunities for young people. So job opportunities, I think that is.
Okay, so it's good to have a problem there. Any others?
I can see also, so we've got a David, and the problem is that there's not opportunities to get green energy in the village that he lives in. So how can they be he's saying, sorry, I'm trying to read it very quickly. So how can they use green energy when there aren't the resources available?
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so what we do, one of the classes that we teach is called design thinking, and this is actually a process that goes through typically some of the summer school courses, and it's what I teach, and this is how I teach when I teach executives as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to think more about that person, think more about the problem, and think about how we can solve that problem. So I want you to think about that person, and if I take the energy one, because if we can just write down what those problems are that they might have with not having access to green energy, how do they feel about that, and what causes some of those problems? And I'm going to apologise for the dog bark. I rescued a dog about 5-6 weeks ago. The postman just arrived, so she's a little bit barky. So just 1, 2, or 3 bullets thinking about what problem that causes. So almost the so what. So what if they can't get access to green energy? And I don't just want you to think about them, but think about then the onward impact of that. So how does that impact other people? And when we try and think broader, the couple of things for you to think about are the environment, their own society, any financial implications to that for the world, other people around them. So that could be community as opposed to society at large. Paddy, I've just managed to get my reboot completed, and I'm going to send you the deck rather than faff with it here. Okay, does somebody want to share back with me a couple of the bullets? We can follow through the energy one, or you can read out the others, Purdy. Take another one if anyone's put them in chat.
So one that I've seen as saying about it's more that they're worried, like what it does to their mental, how anxious they are, that they want to be making a difference, but they don't feel like they can. So then the stresses that come with that to the individual. So that's one of them.
That's great. And there's also one that comes with that, which is the feeling of responsibility towards a community, which is part of that whole thing. It's not only self-worry causing anxiety, but also how that impacts other people that we see, especially in our younger communities.
There was another that said that they are worried that the infrastructure isn't there, so they're going to be left behind. As a community, they're going to be left behind.
Yeah, so that's all about equity. I was teaching on a master's in science and global healthcare on Wednesday at Oxford, and we were talking about equity and winning and losing. And I don't particularly like the term winning and losing. What you have to do is look out for how do we make sure that we have access to all, because the communities that don't have access tend to already be the poorer communities, so the lower middle income countries. And that means they continue to be left behind with some of these things. So actually making sure that we have equitable access to this, and that's the same for energy. It's really important. So that's
Someone's also commented on the first problem, which was the lack of opportunities for young people. And they've said that the one of the things that they're like, the so what response was, so what if there's no opportunities? When they do come about, there's going to be lots of the population that go for those few opportunities.
Yeah, that's very true. So we live in a world of that we'd like to live in a world of abundance, but what we do live in is a world of scarcity. So that goes back to, in some ways, an inequity. That can be true whether it's education, that can be true whether it's access to energy, healthcare. Any of the things that we consider fundamental actually aren't in many countries. And we see that even in high income countries. You know, I'm in the UK, but if you're in the private school sector, you have access to many more facilities than you do if you're in the state school sector. And we're constantly playing catch up. And you have this spiral of people that are trying to access great education. But the teachers in state schools in poorer areas, even in the UK as a high income country, have a much harder time because they don't have the resources and facilities than somebody in a leafy green Cotswolds where I live. So again, this goes back to how do we make things more fair for people and more equitable? Okay, so the next step of that is then thinking about, based on those problems, how might we resolve those problems? So consider one or two bullets, and this we do, we do this over the couple of weeks that we're with our students for, but this is a whirlwind tour of the highlights of what we would do. We understand now the person, we understand their motivations, we understand what they're thinking, the problems that they're having. And then we would look at, so how can we help resolve those problems? So just take a moment to write something about how we might resolve those problems. And Purdy, for ease, could you possibly give me the passcode? Because otherwise I've got to cut and paste whilst I'm doing other things, and then I can come in on my larger screen.
Yes, thank you.
And when we start ideating, and some students actually come with ideas that can cause problems in of itself, but some of them do. The challenges they have if they come with a fully fledged problem and idea is actually trying to get other people to buy into their idea. So one of the things we do when we start ideating is there's no such thing as a bad idea. So you write on your own on a post-it note and they stick up the ideas and nobody challenges. You're not saying that's a silly idea or that won't work because, or we've tried that before. And adults do this. This is very common. You'll recognise this for those of you that are in a workplace that does any form of ideation. So you put up those ideas and then you add to them. And you do that by saying and. So rather than but that won't work because, or any of those things, you ask questions of the person. So you say, how might we get over the challenge of, finance? How might we get over the challenge of electricity in this rural area? How might we get over the challenge of people not wanting to change? And what you're doing is you're adding to a solution rather than taking away from it. And then typically one of the processes that you go through, and we do this in real life, is you would actually vote. You'd have the team vote on what they think is the best answer. And that's a great way of seeing who's behind it. The person in charge, so we get them to be, someone's the CEO, someone's the CFO, and that works really well as well. They enjoy that part of the process. In doing so, they get to see who believed them. And we talk to them through the week, as Kevin's already said, about everything from communication. So they have lots of different lessons on how to learn how to do this, how to influence people, how to be clear about your messaging. So I just want to see a couple of the things that people have ideated now, but this is, again, just sharing with you how we do this with our young cohorts.
Harry, have you got the passcode there?
Yeah, I've just got it. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. And I've got a couple in the chat that you guys won't be able to see it. It just goes to the hosts and panelists of the ideas that from some of the examples, the case studies that we've given. So on the clean energy, they've asked what is available in other places that you could copy or take ideas from. So I think they mean if they can look at other communities that maybe have the same resources and then find out what they're doing to counter that. Also, there's one on survey the community to ask what is a priority for the people. So if there's lots of different challenges under green energy for an isolated community, maybe ask the community what their priorities would be. So would it be solar? Would it be wind turbines? So find out or would it be connectivity, maybe? So finding out from the people what their priorities are.
Perfect. And thank you, and sorry, technology gremlins are out to get us. So I'm just going to share, because Purdy, now you've given me that one, I'm going to share the deck directly myself. That'd be probably easier. So I recently went through a project which was specifically with a Malaysian cohort. And I want to show you, because this is a real project that we did. And these were slightly younger cohort. They were 13 to 16. I had 78 of them, which was highly exciting. And I was looking at a specific problem that we'd come up with in their region, which is they already have a program called the Lost Food Project. And the way that I teach is very visual, it's very hands-on, and I'm going to run you through this so you can see what we did with them, and it's what we've just done with you effectively. So we give them a bit of a background, we ask them questions, why does this matter as a problem? And we talk about systems problems, because it's very rare that something is a problem in isolation. So what you've just gone through is a mini exercise. It's not just one thing, one problem, but then you've got to think further about, who does that impact and how might that impact it? We also talk about unintended consequences. So we give them some data. We might give them some background on how that system works. So in this particular case, I was doing a very specific food program on food security. And then we give them the setting, which is the problem isn't there's not enough food in the world, but the problem is where does that food go and where doesn't it? So we've talked through already in this session where the food goes and where it doesn't is that equity issue of things not being in the right place at the right time, or the people that really need it not having access to it. We then talk to them about what a system is. So it doesn't matter if your child or it has never gone through anything to understand a system. We lay it out so that they can understand it. So bearing in mind I had 13-year-olds in here, every step we show them use this water, energy and labour. The way we do this is this would appear as a build. So we'd actually ask them those questions to get them involved. And Purdy's seen some of my sessions, so I have them all putting hands up and I want them to be very involved in this. And obviously we have, and in last year's summer schools, because I taught through the summer schools last year, we have some very sophisticated teenagers that just bowl me over. So what we do in our sessions is we allow for that. So we allow for people who might be absolute geniuses in chemistry or physics or AI or maths, and we allow for people that are just here because they really want to look deeper into something. So we make this fit by having people in the room that can work in that fluid way with the children, no matter what their level is. We talked to them then about what the difference is between linear and circularity in this instance. And then we did a case study on what the Lost Food Project was, which is Malaysia. So I make sure that within the room, and last year we had a wonderful global cohort. This is specifically for a Malaysian cohort. But we make sure we touch on different geographies so that people feel that they can understand the case studies that are in here. We then talk about why that matters. And in this case, we were talking about SDGs, which obviously we did on the climate course last year. And then I introduced a framework to them. And this framework is something that I created that helps them really think about something. And it means they can repeat this no matter where they are. Now, I do teach this in the exec ed as well. So impact is, what's the intent? What are we trying to achieve? What are the mandates? What are the laws around it? And often they'll go, well, we don't know. And that's great, because we say the great news is that Google is your friend. And what you're looking for is your country's, .gov.uk in our instance, to make sure it's not just random Google making something up, or in the case of AI, we all know ChatGPT is wonderful, but it can also make up sources. So they can easily go off and find these things, and they decide what's relevant. Who's affected, who should be involved. One of the comments that Purdy just read out there was getting the community involved. What do you think is important? How do you think we should solve that? We all know that if people are involved, they're far more likely to feel invested and actually help with the solution. And then the alternatives, have we generated enough options? So when we did that ideation at the beginning of the session with them, we would say to them, okay, so do we think we've got enough that could solve this? And what are the impacts short and long term? And then we talk about public confidence, because it's important in this case in Malaysia that they wanted to look at this from how people actually believe in the civil service or the local government that they're working with. So they then had a game that we did to introduce this, the idea of thinking through impact for them. And we get them to present out. So this is like a mini whirlwind tour of something that we would do. So we put them in teams, they're on tables. Depending on during the week, sometimes we let them choose their own, and sometimes we put them with other people. We know that they bond very quickly with a couple of people, or they may have come with some friends. But we also like it if they get to learn how to work with other people that they may not naturally have chosen to do so. They have to solve the challenge. Now, as I say, this is a whirlwind tour, and then they have to do a minute pitch per team. And in this particular one, they actually videoed the outcomes of this. Partway through this program, we actually came up with unexpected scenarios. So they had cards, they'd come up, they're really pretty, they picked up a challenge card, and then they also had an unexpected scenario, because this is what happens in the real world. You find out that there's no money, that there's been an earthquake, that there's a new government that cares about different things. There's all sorts of things that happen. So we actually go through this with them about thinking about these unexpected scenarios and also unintended consequences. So we bring that back together with systems don't change alone and people change systems. There's a tendency in the place of work, as well as with our youth, that people think it's all about technology and or chemistry. I've solved this problem because I've figured this thing out, this will work. And there's a million wonderful ideas out there, but getting those to come to fruition takes a lot more than just the creation of the product or the technical system itself. I work on a voluntary program called Teens in AI, and that's quite often what happens is they create something that's completely wonderful. They've coded it, vibe coded it, which means you're not doing the code, Claude or somebody's doing that for you. But actually, it's how do you get that to market? How do you get that used? How do you get that in the wider place? So this is the kind of thing over the whole 2-week program that we would be explaining to your your students, your children, to the cohort. So we have lots of fun with them. We teach them really high level stuff like how systems thinking works and how it's not just about the individual problem. We get them to think about a real problem. We get them to think about a real business. So if it was entrepreneurship that they were looking at as opposed to climate, they think about a real business opportunity they have. We do take the opportunity to put a couple of bits in there about sustainability, because I'm really keen that the leaders of tomorrow actually do think about this triple bottom line, not just financial profit, but also environmental profit and societal profit. So I hope that's useful to you as a whirlwind tour. And I'm sorry that I couldn't get the slides up earlier. I would have shown you the design thinking process had I not had a power cut. But hopefully that's been useful. Kevin or Paddy, any questions or anything in the chat that you want me to answer or go through?
No, I think you, on the fly, managed to take those ideas that were being proposed very well. And thank you so much for this. Just gives everyone an insight in what it's like to live in an Oxfordshire village in the middle of the beautiful green countryside and the challenges that come with it. So thank you very much for that.
It's the amount of rain that we had last night. So if your children are coming to join us on the summer school, they need umbrellas and rain mats, because that's what caused the power outage this morning. Was just an inordinate amount of rain overnight. We had something flooded, and then one of the power stations down the road couldn't cope with the amount of rain, apparently. But yeah,
maybe
so
we could do that as case study in a future class.
Yes, here we are thinking we live in this wonderful high-income country and that we don't have problems. But those are first world problems, being able to dial in on your phone because luckily you charged it beforehand. Any questions for me in the chat? Anything else I can do to help people see what a wonderful opportunity this is? I should just have said, actually, sorry, I should just have said this at the beginning. My husband and I went to the same state school, and I volunteered at the state school for 30 years. So I'm 56 years old. I volunteered there for 30 years, and I volunteered on everything from STEM, so taking people to Bletchley Park in the UK, which is where our code breaking was done. And one of my great aunts was code breaking in the war. My grandfathers, I come from Portsmouth, they were Navy. One of those was submarine wireless code breaking as well. So I have a background in, compute and technology. I also volunteer on the school camp, because I believe in children getting outdoors and getting away from their screens and actually freeing their minds. We know that helps them in life. I take them on a ski trip, which sounds like a privilege, but even the kids with low income can earn points towards it that fund that over a 2-year period. So I'm used to doing 3 or 4 voluntary school trips a year where I take children away for abroad, typically to France. And I do the French trip where they're learning French, because I speak French and I love France very much. So I have a background of being with children literally from the year I left school. I carried on volunteering at the school. I then volunteered at my son's school. He's 21 now, so he's left school. But he was in the private sector, but I volunteered with things like interviewing, so practice interviewing with them. So I've got a big background in volunteering, being with children, taking children away. I'm medic when we go abroad skiing and to France. So I've got a bit of an empathetic side to me, as well as a very businessy side that can come out either way, depending on what our children need when they're with us.
Carrie, thank you so much. Kevin, if we can hand back to you, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Carrie. That was really fascinating. I found that really fascinating myself. Hope you guys did too. Okay, so that's an example of exactly the kind of amazing input that you'll get on the Future Climate Tech Innovators program with Carrie and the other professors on there. So if we just look at the timetable again from the program, and again, as its first week is the input, and it's again an action-packed timetable, and then the second
Kevin,
week.
sorry to interrupt. Can you just share your slides again, please?
Okay. Apologies.
Lovely. Now we've got it. Thank you.
Have you got it?
Yeah, thank you.
It's my fault. I haven't stopped sharing.
We're on the lovely Future Climate Innovators Week 1. Thank
That's right. Okay, there we are. Future Climate Innovators Week 1. So there you go. That's the sort of action-packed timetable, and you can see some of the subjects that you do. And then, of course, in the evenings, lots of activities, workshops, etc. And then week 2 is the application. So you'll be putting together your presentation, your solution to a climate problem, and you'll be pitching that at the end of the week, as we said. And that format is the same across all of the programs. So on the AI and machine learning pioneers program, again, week 1, and you can see the kind of topics that you'll be getting input on the subjects or coming at that subject from every angle. And then week 2, applying that with your group project, your pitch that you'll do at the end of the week. And then again, the same across the entrepreneurs with the input in the first week and then the pitching and the project for the second week for the application of the knowledge. And you can see there, and I should say everyone who's watching that I'll share these slides with everyone. So you can go back through and in a bit more detail yourself and when you've got a bit more time. And you can see there's a little breakdown of the subjects and topics that you'll cover in each of the programs. So that can help you decide which the right project is, the right school, sorry, is for you. Which program do you think is most relevant for you? So of course we talked a little bit about the extracurricular program. So that means, all the fun stuff that you'll do around Oxford and trips and excursions and some punting that you can see down there in the bottom right on the river. But also it's, those kinds of really fantastic workshops that are going to help you in your career and in your application. So things like public speaking, how to do that confidently and well, debating workshops. I think you saw that in some of the videos there. The guys doing the debates in the great halls in the university, and of course admissions and interview workshops. So getting insight and practice in how to apply to competitive universities and Oxford and the interview and all that stuff. So really helping your applications in the future to university as well. You can see here some of the guys on our last year's programs and enjoying the sort of communal dining, which is a big part of life at Oxford University and something that you'll experience yourselves on the summer programs. And that can be in the colleges. So for example, this is one of the colleges where you might stay. So this is Wadham College, and if you're on the Leadership and Tech and Innovation Academies, you'll stay in Wadham, which is a fantastic, one of the newer colleges. And if you're on some of the deep dive programs, you might stay in Keble, for example, which you can see here, which is a wonderful experience stay there and absolutely amazing place. So all of the accommodation is single en suite and there's single sex floors, and of course the welfare team were there with you 24/7 to make sure you're happy, healthy and safe. And some of the testimonials from last year's cohort, these guys came and had an amazing time. I think you heard from some of these guys in the videos too. And a couple more. So again, I'll share this with you. You can have a look in more detail and you've got a bit more time later. So the fees are just shy of £9,000 for 2 weeks. That includes everything apart from your flights and health insurance. And it also includes access, an academic year access to the business e-learning modules from the MBA, which is, I think is a really great bonus too. So to come on the program, you need to be between 16 and 18 on the 31st of August. So you could be 15 on the actual program, as long as you're turning 16 by the 31st of August, that's okay. English level is required as B2, so that means that you can access the content of the classes. That's really important. And there's support with language as well. So you don't need to be a native speaker or anything like that, just that B2 level. But of course, most importantly of all is that you've got passion and you want to be involved, you're interested in your education, interested in the world around you, and you've got an inquiring mind. That's what we're really interested in, that you want to come and get involved in the classes and take part. That's really, really important. So if you feel like that's you, you'd be welcome on the program. So of course, why should you attend? We've talked a lot about that today. It's a unique experience, the only official Oxford University summer program. And of course, at the end, you'll have, very importantly, a certificate from the Oxford University that will really help you in your future applications to either Oxford University or any top university around the world. You can see the dates there. So it's set up so you could theoretically do multiple programs consecutively. You could do more than one if that suits you. And you can see there some of the guys on the graduation ceremony from last year with their certificates of achievement. So just a quick word on the Climate Tech Challenge. So this is a competition we run every year where students from anyone can apply this through their school. So if you've got a solution to an issue in the environment that you think you could solve, a tech solution to that, you could put that together, and through your school you can submit that to us. And what we do is we invite the finalists to come to Oxford, to the Science Business School, to present in the final. We invite you, we'll fly you over for that, and then the winners of the competition get a full scholarship to the summer program. And it's free to enter, it costs nothing, and if you get to the final, we'll fly you over free of charge. So that's an amazing opportunity. So do get involved in that if you can. Purdy, I think we're at the point for any questions. If any of the guys have got any questions, I'll endeavour try my best to answer.
Thank you, Kevin. There's any questions that anyone has, please drop them in the Q&A and we'll try and get through them. There is one that I've seen already. That is, what is the application process? Do I have to share any exam scores?
No, you don't have to share exam scores. So there's a little application form on the website, and there are some questions about you and your ideas, and you write a little bit about that, and then there's a little recorded interview that you do, and that way we can listen to your English language level, and we can get again a bit more insight about you, your passions, and things like that. And so we're not necessarily looking for like you have to have high GPA or anything like that, but good language level and passion and ideas and enthusiasm. That's what we're listening for. So you do the application online, and then we'll take a look at that, and then we'll follow up with you.
Lovely. And I've got, can we attend more than one course?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. The dates allow you to do one or two or three programs if you can work that. So absolutely, you just apply for more than one program. No problem at all.
Lovely. And then we've got what if I don't know what career I want to go into? And I think on that you shared a slide that had all the different areas of interest and what program might be good. But if I don't know what career I want to go into, any advice?
Yeah, so like I said, I'll share the slides with you so you can have a look at that slide that Purdy talks about will help you decide which is the right program. But if you're not sure, then the multidisciplinary programs are a great way to find your passion, because they've got lots of different subjects, and you'll have a look at all these different things. So that's a great way where you'll start to feel like, oh wow, I'm really interested in this topic, but maybe not as much in the other one as I thought I might be. And so the multidisciplinary programs are a great way to find your passion.
I also, if I can add to that, many people don't know. So I think if your parents are doctors and you want to be a doctor, lots of people know that they want to be in being a doctor or a pharmacist in medicine or something somewhere. But for the rest of us that don't have that, my parents ran their own businesses, my mother ran a non-profit, then I had no clue, but I knew that I quite liked technology. When I went to university, I applied for marine biology and computer science. They're completely wildly different. And I decided that I could learn to dive and have fun diving and doing my marine passion, but I went into tech. So don't worry, that it's quite common unless you've got a real thing that you won't know. And as Kevin said, therefore there's some multidisciplinary courses where you'll get so much from it that might help you hone down some of those things. And if you don't know at the end of uni, that's okay too.
Yeah, that's absolutely no. I mean, I still don't know what I want to do. I'm still working out. So
I say that often.
yeah, hopefully I'll get there soon. So it's very common that you're even, you're at university and you're still not sure about where you want to be. So that's absolutely fine. That's completely normal. I think most people have that experience. Anything else? Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Anything else, Purdy?
There's one more which I love. Do we get to have dinners in the big halls like in the Harry Potter movies?
Absolutely, you do. Yeah. You'll do at least two or three of those things, I think. And they're really wonderful experiences. I've done them myself. And when you're there on those long tables with the portraits of all these alum that have been there from hundreds of years ago, it's really kind of awe-inspiring experience. So yeah, you'll absolutely be in there. Yeah.
That's it on the questions, I think.
Okay. All right then. So thank you everyone. Thanks Purdy for organizing. Thanks Carrie for your input. That was really fantastic. And thanks everyone for joining. Um, we'll share the slides with you guys so you can have a look later. And I hope that we will see you in the summer. If you get any more questions, then do get in touch. That's not going to help you. You can see more information, and there's the QR code to take you onto the webpage for more info on the program. So just say have a great weekend and hope we will see you in the summer. Thanks a lot.